Here's a brief explanation of how the long tail, as described by Chris Anderson, applies to open source software, and in particular Drupal. In his book, The Long Tail, Chris Anderson talks about a demand curve and how the internet has changed everything with the demand curve, which basically looks like this. If you were to look at the demand for various products, it would have a very tall head and drop rapidly into a much longer tail. Now what's discovered is the fact that that long tail actually goes on forever, or nearly forever. The idea being that folks want all kinds of niche stuff all the time. The challenge is, in the case of the demand curve, if you look at music, if you look at books, all of those types of things, if you think about your traditional bricks and mortar store, they can only focus on what's going to move in this realm. So they really focus in the head. So in the case of music or books, that only applies up here, and that's what you would get in your typical bookstore. But services like Amazon have changed everything. Music services on the web, really even just the rise of Napster, took and created this opportunity for this immense long tail that actually is extremely profitable, and that was the fundamental premise of Chris Anderson's book. Now, if we look at how this applies to open source, the model applies almost even better. In the case of open source, if you think of the demand curve here not as titles of books, but you think of for a particular product, in my case, we make use of Drupal, you can think of these as the core features, right? The demand for features, okay, in that open source package. So this would be something like, I want a rich text editor, and I want to be able to post web pages to my website. Maybe more recently coming towards down here, I want to have a blog. And then you start to get into this realm and you start talking about social networking integration. And so while all of the content management systems might have all the products on this side of the line, once you start coming out on this side of the line, it starts to drop off. And when you look at proprietary software, they really need to focus their efforts at best this far out on the line. So what you're seeing right now is this far out might be, well, all of them are getting Twitter integration. But way out here on the line are the things that are just emerging in technology. Now, in the case of proprietary software, they have limited resources to take and build out these products or these features for their particular system. And so that's problematic to them. In the case of open source, these resources are unlimited, okay, to appeal to that demand. So this curve truly can just keep on going and still have an opportunity. And that's why you see that a product like Drupal ends up with something like 4,400 modules that you could potentially take and apply, because that curve is sort of never ending. And what we like to say is really, if there's an itch to be scratched, it's going to get scratched. And that helps all of us. It makes it so that we have a much more robust product. It also means that out here is all the emerging technology that's a little bit different than what people are using today. And so as time goes by, and the next Twitter, the next Facebook integration, the next wiki, all of those types of features that you might find with a platform is going to be addressed so much faster out here, because the cost of developing it is so much lower, and the requirement or demand, requirement for a demand is so much less to make it something that's profitable, because really it's just folks creating things for themselves and then offering it out to the world, and then as demand adds, it takes and gets better because people contribute to that project. At any rate, once again, I'm Neil Geritana with Lucidus. You can follow me on Twitter at Lucidus_Neil. Thanks.